Okay, well, this is interesting, I guess you could say. Almost half an hour of technical difficulties that seem resolved now. So I'm going to give a try to getting this on Facebook Live. I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, it says pause recording. I think I'm going to do that and give it a try on Facebook Live. Okay, this is coming together. I mean, had over half an hour of technical difficulties, one after the other, but everything seems okay now. All right, before I start sharing what I plan to share today, I'm going to screen share and start the introductory slideshow. Okay. Sometime I'm going to have to figure out how to get rid of this little strip at the bottom, but not right now. Okay, welcome to Raising Happy Kids. Whoa, what's that all about? Okay. There's something showing up on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. Oh. Okay. Welcome to Raising Happy Kids Zoom Show, episode 31. Using the one rule is even easier. During this 1 hour Zoom show, only today it won't be an hour, it'll be a little less than half an hour. I focus on sharing tips and lessons on the one rule to raising happy kids. Each episode has at least one example of the one rule in action, demonstrating how it helps you raise a happy child. Then we have Q&A and discussion. When I talk about raising happy kids or creating harmony with kids, I bring up the one rule. The one rule equals agreement. Agreement equals harmony. Using the one rule means you find agreement, that's the rule. You find a solution that everyone likes. You found agreement. You found harmony. Knowing and following the one rule is all you really need to create harmony between you and your kids. In any situation where there are differences that might lead to conflict between you and your kids, use the one rule. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy, actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple, it's easy, it's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. I'm glad you're here. Okay, stop share. All right. Okay, so now that I've introduced the one rule, in case there's anybody new watching this, get a sense of what it's about. I wanted to share something. Okay, first I'm going to bring up a question that I addressed last week, and it kept running through my mind, and I kept observing things during the week and came up with something that I think makes using the one rule, which seems simple to me, because I've used this approach for so many years, but I think it will make it even simpler for people to get started with this. And it seems like a really important thing, obviously, to me, since I've been going on about it in one form or another for many years, over 40. So, okay, so the question was, today I wanted to ask you how children can develop confidence to speak for themselves, how this one rule can play a positive role with their mental growth. Because one rule is agreement, but does everyone have that ability to share their thoughts? If not, how can they practice too? Okay, so one of the things that occurred during the week for me was realizing that there have been many times in my life when I might not have known exactly what I wanted. And so that set me thinking and observing. And what I realized, and the thing that I want to share with you that makes this whole thing so easy, is that even though, and this was brought up by my son, and Batul and other people have brought this idea up, that we might not be able to share, like Batul was saying, our thoughts. Now, she was speaking of children, but the adults those children become, like me, even as adults, we don't always know clearly what it is we want. But the thing that we do know, as far as I can tell, there seems to be no exception to this. And that is, we know if something sounds good to us, if it feels good to us. And we're the only ones that can know that. And we do. We know if, let's say, your child wanted to do something, you would know whether that felt like a good thing or not. And the more you practice being aware of that, the easier and faster and stronger that knowledge, that knowing inside of you will be. One thing, I don't know if you've heard me speak about my pattern interrupt, but it's something that it's actually, I think I gave it I wrote it in the first magazine. I don't know if you've seen any of the magazines. I only have 2 out now. The third one is just about done. It was going to be for February when someone who was going to submit an article for the magazine asked if they could do it on the last day of February. And of course that would be fine, but what happened when I got this request was that all of a sudden this determination that it has to be in that particular month vanished. It was like I felt freedom, and it was like, I'll just put out the third magazine as soon as it's ready. And so that's what's happening right now. I did get the article, and so that worked out. But I have some more to put together. We might take a little look at it today. We'll see. Okay. So even though you might not know exactly what you want to come to an agreement on, chances are good that you know whether it's something you can agree with or not. Something came into my mind that I wanted to share. Yes, okay. Now, if it's in terms of you sharing what you want, if you can, I think the best thing to share is to share exactly how you would like things to go. And I'm sure from my experience working with children for many years, they will have a very clear inner response to whatever it is you put out. Either they'll like it or they won't. And the younger they are, the clearer it will be. But even if they're older, it will be clear to you and to them whether they like it or not. And that is really the essence of the one rule, is that it feels good to the people involved. And I've said this before, but it became very clear to me last week, and I've been wanting to share this with all of you. That it's even simpler than having to figure out the details of how something is going to go and agreeing to it. You're agreeing to things that feel good to you. And that's how you find the harmony. It's like an inward harmony first, and an outer harmony with whoever you're interacting with. So, okay, I think those were the 2 points that I wanted to share with you. The first one, about how you feel about it, was the strongest one, and the first thing that came to me. And the second one, about sharing exactly how you would like it, because maybe that's going to be fine with whoever else is involved. Maybe they will have no problem, and so why not put out exactly how you would like it to be. And then if there is a problem, you guys can work on it, work the bugs out of it, so to speak. Okay, let's see. Okay. I'm going to share a little bit of the magazine that's in process. When you use the one rule, you are sharing these messages with your kids. Of course, there could be many other ones that you're sharing, but I want us all to be happy. We are all important. We can solve our problems together. You are important. You matter. I believe in you. I love you. Anyway, we'll see how that unfolds. And Lisa Wasikowski is the guest contributor, and she has written an article on harmony as a parent. Okay. Let's see. Now this, okay, this is very important approach. And it was actually through this show that this concept came to me. And that is that until a child is around 3, you are going to have to be the primary harmony finder. A baby and a toddler, and especially, not especially, and even when a child is going through their 2-year-old period, their focus has to be very much on their development. So finding harmony using the one rule is very much on the part of the adult. The adult needs to practice. Okay, what sort of ask themselves this question: how can I find harmony with this situation? And one thing that I've come to realize, so anyway, I before I get into that, I wrote a whole nother lesson, and I wrote it into the chapter on the book, The One Rule to Raising Happy Kids. And so I wrote a whole chapter on, no, not the chapter, on the training. I did a whole training on that. But then I've come to realize that it's a very important practice when you're starting the one rule in particular, and it can be helpful throughout the whole process. So that is something that you could start with right away. You could start in any situation, figuring out how you could find harmony with it. Maybe even make this a practice discipline, something that you do, like just start introducing it, like, how could I find harmony with this? What might have to change a little bit? Like, could happen sooner or later, or this way or that way. Oh yeah, if it happened that way, that would be okay with me. That'd feel good. Just start practicing that, even if you don't have babies or young children. If you start doing this, you can find harmony with teenagers. And I say that I haven't had a lot of experience because I had harmony with my kids when they were teenagers. And, but at one point there was someone who lived across the street from me who did not have harmony at all with their daughter, and the daughter not with their father. But after I shared my work at that stage, which was power of respect, and the father started trying some of the things that I suggested, I heard from the daughter how she totally appreciated this and was like able to forgive all kinds of things really easily and quickly. And it, I didn't expect that to happen so smoothly, but it did. And it's been very encouraging in terms of recommending that people work with their teenagers this way. So you can start by thinking of a situation and how you feel about it. And if it's not quite good for you, if it doesn't really feel good to you, then think what might have to shift, what might have to change so that it could feel good to you. Maybe it would have to be completely different, but maybe not. And maybe the completely different that it would have to be so you could feel good is something that would work well for your teenager. They just never thought of it. They hadn't yet thought of it, but you might come up with it. So anyway, this is something you can start working on. Let's see if there's anything else here. It seemed, oh yes, there was another thing that came up. And this has to do with, I started to mention, there's a lot of stories in this one, in this magazine. I started to mention that about using my pattern interrupt. Like yesterday, I didn't have a chance. Almost every morning, I mean, it's a rare morning when I don't take time for meditation. But yesterday, it totally did not work out. So I knew I would have to keep that kind of awareness, the awareness of what I call my pattern interrupt, all during my day. And it worked really well. Because sometimes I realized, and I forget, but I realized that I will rely on the meditation to put me in a state, an inner harmony state. And that's good. I think that's good. But maintaining it throughout the day is not always something I would do. But now I really want to remember to do that. So I just realized I hadn't shared the magazine screen with you. So what I was looking at, you weren't. Oh dear. Well, I guess that's part of the technical difficulties. One other thing that I have in the magazine is lesson 2 from the One Rule, the training. And that is the concept of agreement, not sacrifice, which is kind of what we've been talking about here. That it's not up to anyone to have to agree to things that are not agreeable. So practice on figuring that out for yourself, and hopefully next week we won't have all these technical difficulties. I hope you have a great week, and see you next week.